Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our lectures 12 case study discussion. So, if you could remember, I suggested you to read two different cases, which I already uploaded 10 days back on Moodle. So, the importance of understanding case study, why it is important for you to understand. One of the reason is like we have in our end term exam around 20 or 30% of questions are around the case study discussion. So that could be a kind of one reason why I'm taking special lecturing on the case study discussion, trying to give you some of the skills which is important in order to analyze a particular case study in the real life scenario. And fortunately, we have two cases. The length of the case study or the any of the case could vary from one page to 20, 40 big cases. But since we are at the very basic level, so I decided to come up with the mini cases. So cases or the caselets are a very small, specific, and pointing out one particular issues in the form, whereas the broad the big cases they could have uh, 4 5 or 10 different issues altogether, and trying to depict how the firm is trying to balance all those issues, how they are. So fortunately we have I managed to give you with the small cases. Both the cases are in the single pages, so for one pages each. So there are lots of importance for case study, understanding the or analyzing the case study. So, so primarily we have three different objectives today. The first one is we'll try to understand what is the case study, how to perform, what are the steps or what are the stages in analyzing the case study, a particular case study. So with that general introduction, quickly we will move to the case one, that is justifying price increases. That case is based on the marketing theme of particular marketing theme, that is marketing research. Whereas the case second is incredible shrinking potato chips package, and that case is more and more and more on pricing and costing. That is another marketing mix, important marketing mix. And somehow in both the cases you will see a kind of some ethical dilemma, a kind of ethics. We'll talk about what is right and what is wrong, and we'll try to see from the lens of ethics. Even the marketing, lots of marketing activities are subject to kind of ethical consideration. So especially setting the prices, reducing the prices, or dumping, there are lots of issues around in the marketing mix around, especially in this also in the promotion, what sort of to what extent you are ethical in communicating the right things or the correct thing to the customer. So lots, like each and every marketing mix, they poses some sort of challenges, and where the managers or the top management has to take into the consideration, and that what is very important, the ethics in the business. So through these two cases, important cases, we'll try to capture some of the aspects of the ethics in marketing as well. So keeping all this in mind, uh, those who joined late can mark their attendance in the chat box. Uh, Before moving further, I'm assuming that every one of you, each one of you has have read both the cases. If you have not read the cases, probably it will be waste of time for you to stay here for another 2 hours. So it's entirely up to you. Or could better ways, you can have a kind of quick, since it is a small cases. So yeah, if you have not gone through the cases, probably I will provide you 2 to 3 minutes to just have a kind of glimpse on the cases. If you are smart enough, you will try to capture some of the aspects which we are trying to understand together. Otherwise, it will be a kind of bit stressful for you to understand and to participate in today's discussion. what I said, today's discussion is like more participatory. It has to be more participatory. I mean to say, you have the chat box, or you can unmute anytime, and you just can, whenever, like, we have the different aspects around a particular case. So we'll talk about it. I will give you ample time to have throw your ideas, what is going on in your mind, how you interpret it, how you look at from the different angle, from your own angle. So lots of things are there. So your participations are highly respected, like it will be highly, it's highly desirable in today's discussion. Otherwise, if you are any not active, or you're just a passive learner or passive participants in today's discussion, maybe you will find it bit like not much of interesting stuff kind of thing. So okay, I'm assuming that every one of you has gone through the both the cases. So, and both the cases are uploaded on the Moodle. So even if you have not, just quickly you can upload, like download it, and just have a kind of, and just try to understand what I'm speaking about. Okay, so we'll start with the case study methodology. I mean to say, like, do you think it is a kind of method, or in the social science study and the management study? Yes, the case study has been adopted as a kind of systematic way of analyzing the particular business scenario, particular business cases. So it's a kind of business methodology. Uh, so let's go through the case study methodology first. So what is case study first? Try to understand what is case study. A case study approach allow, allows in-depth, multifaceted faceted, exploration of the complex issues in the real life settings. Real life settings, in case of like the how these issues are occurring, or are prevalent in the business organization. In that sense, it is a real life setting. You have the real problem, real issues, and then you're trying to have in-depth analysis, understanding each and every element, aspects of the concept around that issues, and trying to unfold what is, trying to unpack with your own understanding. It's a kind of multifaceted exploration, looking at those issues from the different angles, maybe as a customer, as a manager, or maybe as a owner. So different, or maybe the external stakeholders, someone is outside observing the business activities. So it's a kind of multifaceted uh, exploration, not from a single or like angle, you from the different 360-degree kind of overview, kind of analysis from each and every aspect or angle. You have to look at that problem, and then trying to analyze it. And that, of course, at the end we are looking for some sort of solution, some suggestion, some recommendation. That is at the end. So it is a established research design, established one. So it's not a new phenomena from last probably 7 to 8 around 7 to 8 decades back. The researcher, they are in the case study analysis. Uh, like considering you guys as like management students, I will not take you too much regarding the what is behind the research and all, but yes, it's a kind of well-known and established research design that is used extensively in a wide varieties of discipline, particularly in the social sciences and the management. Wide range of discipline. It's not only the social sciences, the management, even in the accounting, and even in the healthcare industry, even in the other, it's various fields like that they use, even in the education, in the universities and the schooling at every level. So it's a wide variety of discipline areas where the case study methodology has been accepted in order to uh, develop the skills which is necessary. Idea is to improve, idea is to develop the skills which is like more critical. I mean, critical analysis is important here. And the third point says that a case study is a problem to be studied. More be like more like it's to the point, like it's a problem to be studied, which will reveal an in-depth understanding of a case or the bounded system. which involves understanding of event, activity, processes, one or more individuals. So case study, who are the actors, who are the protagonists, who are the members, who are the stakeholders. So considering every event, every activities, processes, and individuals or group of individuals or the organizations, everything taking into the consideration, understanding all things all together in a but what is very important is here the bounded system. This I wanted to have a kind of bit more uh, explanation for the. I wanted to provide more explanation for the bounded systems. Case study is always limited to a boundary. I mean to say the particular case, suppose in the Australian context or any of the firm in Newcastle, they have the certain limitations. So whatever the elements are there in the case, so all the your decision, your alternative decision, your conclusion or recommendation has to be based on the boundaries. You should not bring anything from outside. You should not. You can compare it with the other firms or the benchmarking firms in the industry or the benchmarking practices in the industry, but the final solution has to be based on the boundaries of that firm itself. So that boundary means what alternatives you have, what suggestions you have, what restriction you have. So in that boundary only your solution has to come up from that boundary itself. So every case is surrounded by the limitation, the boundary. So while having a discussion, you can think about going like unpacking it more and more, but the final decision, all the evaluation of alternatives, the choices, everything has to be dependent within, has to be within that boundary. So it's a kind of case is each and every case is itself in itself is a boundary system. So we have two different cases and we'll see that both has their own restriction, limitation. And we'll try to generalize the findings. We'll try to see from the different perspective. We'll try to see all the alternatives around that cases within that boundary. Means what boundary means whatever is there given to you for that case. And if it is in a one page, limited information, that's it. That is what you have, and your decision as a marketeer, you have to take decision on that. So that is the bonded system surrounded by the particular uh, elements for the discussion. Okay, so as I said, case study analysis ask you to follow certain kind of stages, certain steps are involved. So the case study analysis can be broken down into the following steps. It's, these five steps are more generic, more general in sense, more like simple to understand for you. Identifying the first one, identify the most important facts surrounding the case. I mean, the facts means try to gather all the information, what everything around that, surrounding that case, so within that boundaries. So the important one, there could be several one, but the important one, and those important facts has to come up or related with the second point, that is identify the key issue or issues. As I said, if there is a big cases in multiple pages, there could be several issues altogether. One issue from marketing, one issue from the costing, or one from the human resources, one from the financing, accounting, one from the supply chain. So there could be a kind of diverse issue in the logistics, supply chain, and maybe the physical location in the processes of so training and all. There could be lots of issues, or maybe only one issue which is prominent. So you need to find out, like, is it, you need to identify carefully, like, is it a key issues or it's a single key issue. The stage third is specify alternative course of action. I mean to say, see the boundary, within the boundaries of that particular case, what alternative course of action, what are the different alternatives has been given. I mean to say, within that scenario, within that case, they give you sometimes in the some of the paragraphs, if you read carefully, you will find that okay, the brand manager is thinking in those lines, the market researcher manager is looking on those lines, and they are suggesting that these are the alternatives they have. So you need to see what you need to specify, you need to point out what alternative courses are given. And the stage 4 is very, very important. You need to weigh, you need to evaluate each course of action. I mean to say, stage like action 1, alternative 1, what are the pros, what are the cons and pros, what are the positive and negative of that action, and if that action is being implemented, what is the strength and what weaknesses. So you need to evaluate each one, and then based on that you need to finally come up with possible kind of solution, appropriate, more appropriate action, more appropriate alternatives, the best suitable action. And once you have come up with that best solution, your answers, you need to recommend the best course of action along with that implication kind of thing. So on a standard the case study methodology, they follow the 5 stages. So after giving a kind of brief about the case study methodology, understanding the importance and understanding the steps which are involved in the case study methodology, it's better to jump to the case 1, justifying price increases. So let me open the chat box, and you can use your mic if you have anything to understand, or if you think something is not clear in my slide, or you wanted to add something, we can have a small discussion if you want.
So for the case studies, it's like we just have to like explain what would be the quote unquote best course of action that we as marketers must do. Is
Correct.
that how we have to like describe it, right?
Yes, correct. Ultimate idea why we are trying to analyze the case, understanding the issues behind that case, right? And
Yes.
why we're trying to understand or unpack the issues, finally to give some solution. So yes,
Oh,
finally we have to come up with some suggestions, some recommendation. That is the ultimate goal for the case study methodology.
okay.
Because
So like,
yes, the firms, the corporate worlds, always they face different several issues are there. So
okay.
each issue could be a kind of one separate case by itself. So maybe they can hire you as a consultant. If you're a marketing consultant, they will hire you, and they'll say that we are facing this issue. Can you suggest? Can you recommend how to overcome with this one? And that could be a kind of case study analysis. So lots of marketing consultancy firms. I'm sorry, if you see that website that come from a specific website, they sometimes they upload the different cases which they have handled in the past.
Oh, okay.
It's a kind of very good as it's a kind of career. You can make a kind of career in the as a consultant, marketing consultant. You can just go to the market, ask the business houses, business corporate houses what issues you are facing, and we are in the team, and we are ready to provide you the solution. It's up to you if you implement. So this is
Okay.
how the consultancy works. So the consultant actually they do the several analysis and trade-off analysis for each and every cases. So the different clients they have means different cases they have. Different cases mean different issues are there, and then they provide the solutions. So ultimate goal is generating the best feasible solution. That is the ultimate goal. But before that, you have to do lots of exercise, lots of alternatives analysis, and all. We'll see that in today's case. Okay. Uh,
So in the context of the exam, you'll be giving us case studies, right? Will you be
exactly.
also so you'll be also giving us questions or
Yes,
and
exactly. Yeah,
oh okay, because I thought we're going to go to the exam with just a case study, and I thought
no,
we have to like give a very long paragraph of something. Okay.
no. Case study means all the materials, the key issues, everything in front of you. But as a marketer, I will expect you to provide some solution. I will expect you to recommend something, suggest something. So that will be that question in the form of question.
Okay.
So with the case, you will understand more and more. But just hold on your curiosity. But I'm really happy that you're trying to understand, you're trying to go in depth what is case study analysis.
Okay, thank
And the
you.
university of not only all the Australian universities, they encourage in terms of case study discussion. So they are in the case study discussion, or this methodology is on their priority. So when I was discussing with the director, principal, and academic director, they were suggesting go ahead with the case, small cases. They encouraged me because they are saying that university policy, they encourage this sort of discussion. And you will find that case study is the real thing. But since you are in the basic, very basic foundation level of marketing, probably once you will go for the bachelor degree or maybe the postgraduates and all, you'll have a kind of bigger understanding of the case study. But it's better to have a kind of spark from today itself. So let's go through. I'm assuming that, do you want me to give you some time for understanding the case study one? Any one of you? Or did you did you go through this case justifying price increases? Okay. At Renda, I'm assuming that everybody has gone through this, but I'm just giving you 2 to 3 minutes. For those who has not gone through, please go through once quickly, and those who have already gone through, please go through and try to see from the different lens. Just 3 minutes to you. Make a note on some of the key points. Make a note on your paper. It's very important today to have a discussion, to participate. Okay, so did you notice that this case study, although it's a mini case, is written by one of the professor of marketing at California State University. Justifying price increases. The topic, a specific topic is related to the marketing research. I will come back to this one. So I have read the cases, not, okay. All good. I'm assuming that everybody read this case and then they will participate. If you participate, your learning will be more, no doubt. Okay. So the case study was in front of you, one page, single page cases, right? But there were no questions over there. It depends on the kind of, since this is the marketing case, so as a marketing lecturer, I can think about what I have taught to you, and I can ask you frame the questions accordingly. So it can vary. So case can be looked at from the marketing perspective, maybe from the ethics perspective, and also it depends. So a case can bring lots of questions. Okay, so justifying price increase, I hope you understand the case well. So all the discussions regarding this case will be around these key points, 6 key points. What are the relevant facts in this case? What are the ethical issues? Ethical issues in a sense, marketing, from the marketing perspective. Who are the stakeholders? Primary, secondary, external, internal, who are the stakeholders? What are the possible alternatives in this case? What are the practical constraints? I said bounded system, boundaries. So what are the practical constraints? What are the limitations? A small firm, limitation of a small firm cannot act or think about same as a big multinational. So that is the limitation of the small firm. They can't take a decision the way the big multinational takes. So that is the limitation. Just for an example, what actions should be taken? That is at the end. So finally, what best actions should be taken now? What is your recommendation, I would say? So we'll try to answer each and everything. All the 6 points we'll try to cover into the discussion, and where we wanted I hope everybody will contribute in this discussion. So, but before that, there is a term protagonist. Protagonist. I like this term, like this word. The protagonists are the leading people in the case. Who is advocating? It's who are the participants, decision makers in particular case. For that, the term protagonist looks like more appealing. So what do you think? Let's start from this. What do you think? Who are the protagonists in this case one?
Sam and John.
Okay. Fortunately, in this case study, it is given on the top, like the characters, but maybe in the most of the cases, while reading the lines, while understanding the paragraphs, we will come to know one by one, okay, this, and that. Fortunately, it is given on the top in this case. So clearly, who are the protagonists? It's a Sam, marketing research manager at television station, and John, the general manager of the television station. So they are both are the protagonists for this case. Okay. So the first key point is, what are the information given? What are the relevant facts in this case? In this case, what are the relevant facts? I want everyone to participate, I mean to say. So you can unmute it and just speak. What are the facts? Facts has to be in this case. Don't talk about the issue. That will be the second one. The issue, key issue, ethical issue, marketing issue, that will be the second part. But I'm just asking, what are the facts which are given in this case? Facts could be anything. Like the first one is Sam is a marketing research manager. That is the fact. John is the general manager of the television division. That is the fact. General manager wanted to have increase the revenue, profit percentage. That is the fact. Is given in the small businesses. They wanted to survive. That is the fact. If they will not do promotion through the media, mass media, like television, right? They will die. That is the fact. Could you? Yeah, I want some of you. Can you come up with more and more points? What are the facts? Just speak, speak. And I could see in the chat box if anybody is suggesting anything. Yes, this is the case on Moodle because it's a bit hard for me to see on Moodle, on Zoom. Okay. That's why if you are not proactive, it happens. So I'll show you where it is. It's under module 12. So I can show you here. Yeah, can you see that cases? Module 12, case study analysis, case study analysis 2, and then your case study PPT. It is there. Okay. Can I ask, like, Donimala, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Can you tell me about like some of the facts, relevant facts? I mean, really, it has to be relevant. So don't speak everything, but which is like more prominent for you, like.
In the Sam and John cases.
Exactly. We are talking, all the discussion will be around Sam and John case first. Please go ahead.
What was the question? Sorry.
The question is what are the relevant facts in this case study? What are the relevant facts?
Oh, okay, that's the question. I'm not sure. Give me 2 seconds.
Each and every paragraphs are full of facts. Facts means what information is given to you, which are relevant for this case study discussion.
Increase the profit like by 20%.
Exactly, that is the fact. Yeah, that is one fact. Yeah, very good. Go ahead. Quickly.
So to the first 2 years with the television station, I think that's what they're talking about.
Okay. Each paragraph is full of facts. Okay, so maybe you are struggling because of the first time. So let's see. The first one is, what are the relevant facts? And see what we have. As I said, it's very easy to analyze the case. Just you have to be more focused. So could you see like all these fives? This is just like listing of the 5 facts. Sam has a reputation for conducting research project with integrity. Is that a fact?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Sam, small business rely on the television station for access to the mass media. Otherwise, they will not survive. That is the fact given in the case. I'm not stating anything outside from the case. Or it's not based on my wishful thinking. It's not based on my assumption. It is the fact. Facts are different from assumption. I'm not making any assumption here. It's a fact that small business account, although numerous and costly to administer, have about the same profit margin as the large business accounts. That's the fact given in first paragraph. John has. What about the John? John has a reputation for raising revenues and cutting cost.
Yes.
That is the fact. John wants Sam to conduct a survey, an ethical survey. That is the issue here, right? So, but John wants Sam to conduct a survey that would produce data that would justify a price increase for the small business accounts. That is the fact. Why we are saying there could be a number of facts, but these facts are relevant for the discussion.
Sam had won a national competition with his senior marketing research project.
Exactly. That is covered by in the first point with integrity. He has the moral standard. He always follow the ethics. That is the priority. He has the background as a student. He has won several medals because of the integrity. He got this position, research positions. All these are the facts.
Yeah.
So I mean, when having a discussion, we have to think. We have to set our mindset across these facts. We should not go outside. We should not make a kind of any assumption that something like that. So based on these facts only, we have to have a kind of discussion. So not every facts are important, but what these five facts are relevant for our discussion. That's why it's being stated over here. There could be a number of facts in this case, and in the case study. So we understood what are the relevant facts. Okay, the next one. What are the ethical marketing issues? Now you as a marketeer, this is your core domain. You have to suggest me today. If you have learned in my teaching, if in my last 3 months of journey, if you understood marketing, some of the key understanding and all, it's your time now. You should tell me what marketing issue, what ethical issues in the marketing is there in this case. So for that, can I ask one volunteer here?
There is a biased research conduction.
Okay, you wanted to go ahead, Amanda? Okay, take your own time and explain it properly.
Okay.
Because we all are hearing you with patience. So please take your own time. Whatever, see, idea is to understand what is going on in your mind. And if you wanted to take more and more time, explain it. It's a very good exercise we are doing actually in the management education. That's why case study is always promoted. Okay, please go ahead. Sorry. Amanda, are you there?
Okay. So the one ethical issue is the general manager John asking Sam to conduct a research that would guarantee his conclusion that profits should rise. But the issue there is that there's already a conclusion before the research could be even conducted. So that is a biased research conduction, and that's what Sam is dismayed about. Yeah, that's it for me.
Yes, that is one of the main ethical issue in this case. I mean, this decision is revolving, like all other decisions are just revolving around this but main issue. So main ethical issue is like conducting the unbiased marketing research. As a marketing researcher, we are being taught in the business school that you need to be ethical all the time in terms of taking the responses, doing the analysis, using the software tools, or maybe the manually. So it has to be ethical integrity. We are being taught that. But in the real life scenario, situation is different. Even I'm teaching you something ethical best practices in the marketing, but the moment you will go to the corporate world, maybe you will face the same thing. So in that case, how you will handle the situation? Anybody else wanted to add? Is there any other issue? There are few more. Don't you, okay, as a manager or as a marketing research manager, you think that, okay, there is an ethical issue revolving around the decision making for the John. Okay. What about the small businesses? Your price is low. That's why they are able to, survive, right? They are able to communicate your services, television, broadcasting, and all. Since you put the prices low for the small SMEs, right? But the moment if you will increase the prices, will they be able to afford? No. I mean, in that case, what will happen? There will be a monopoly, and all the small businesses will be out from the business. Don't think that that is not good for economy. That is the ethical issue over here in the business. We wanted to have the presence of everyone, multinationals, SMEs, and all the startups. We wanted to have a mix of everything, and that is good for every economy, isn't it? Okay, so let's see what we have. So as Amanda rightly said the same thing. How can Sam conduct a survey that he knows may be biased? And should he do that? That is the ethical issue, the main ethical issue surrounding in this case. But there are other issues. What obligation does Sam have to the small businesses that the television station serves and to his employer as well? Employer has, appointed Sam, considering he is a person of integrity, right? In the first sentence, he got a promotion as a manager because of his past background as a noble man, kind of ethical person, ethics, moral, having a moral standard. So on that basis, the employer has given him that opportunity. But John is just a boss. He's not an employer. Honor is somebody else. So he has the obligation for the honor as well. So these are some of the ethical issues revolving around. Okay, next one. Who are the stakeholders? I think, who are the stakeholders? Anybody can say who are the stakeholders? And what do you think about the stakeholders? Juhu Frank, are you there? Juhu Frank? Yes. Can you speak? No. Yes, you can. Yeah, you don't have mic. Can you speak? Who are the stakeholders? And what do you mean by stakeholder? It's not working. Can you try? Or can you write who are the stakeholders? Or what do you mean by stakeholders? So, stakeholder. Okay, meanwhile, Frank is writing here in the chat box. I will let everybody know what he's writing. The concept of stakeholder management is given by a very famous economist known as, his name is Freeman. Did you hear his name? Freeman is a great scholar, and who gave up the idea of stakeholder management. So let's have a kind of understanding who are the stakeholders. I have a small 2 minutes video. Let me see that is there. I'm trying to let you understand who are the stakeholders. Although I have repeated many times who are the stakeholder, but this video is very good because the speaker, the kind of the person who you see in the screen in the video is the man who come up with the great theory in the literature, great theory, one of the great theory, that is a stakeholder theory. So Edward Freeman, the great researcher, bright scholar. So try to understand from his own word, he's trying to explain what is stakeholder, who are the stakeholder.
I've defined stakeholders as any group or individual that can affect or be affected by a company's purpose. Now, that definition is sometimes controversial. Some people say it lets everybody in because, after all, can't activist groups, web-based NGOs, a small group on the other side of the world, can't they affect a company? And the answer to that is yes. There's some truth in this criticism. That's a very wide definition of stakeholders. It comes from the idea that stakeholder theory is about business. It's about strategy. And it says if a group can affect you, then you need to deal with it. Well, another way to think about stakeholders is just to define them as those groups that can almost always affect or be affected by. So you start from the idea, if you look at practice, if you look at a lot of businesses over time and in lots of settings, really it's customers, suppliers, employees, communities, and the people with the money, financiers. That those are the primary or definitional stakeholders. And other stakeholders, government, media, NGOs, interest groups, environmentalists, critics, however you want to put those groups are important because they can affect how you create value for customers, suppliers, employees, communities, and the people with the money. I don't think definitions are very important. I think what's important is understanding how the value creation process works in a business. And in business A, in the automobile industry in India, the value creation process may be different than in business B, a web-based startup in Silicon Valley. So the point of stakeholder theory is to say, let's try and understand who those groups are that are important to the value creation process.
So going back here, who are the stakeholders? Who are the primary stakeholders in this case? So Juho Frank, you haven't answered anything. So let's see, like, who are the stakeholders here? It's easy to understand. Who are the primary stakeholders? Do you think the employees are the stakeholders? Yes. Freeman said that everyone directly or indirectly has an effect on the organization, business activities or the value creation activities are the stakeholders. There could be a number of definition of stakeholders, but try to understand in the broad generic way that if you are able to have impact, if somebody is able to make an impact on your business activities, they are the stakeholder, including customer, including employees, including government agencies, environmental agencies, NGOs, web-based, everyone. So Sam is a stakeholder, yeah. John is another stakeholder. They are known as the internal stakeholder. Owners of the television station, I mean the founder of the television station, the firm itself is the stakeholder. Then customer, like a small business owner in the market. They are the customer clients, but they are the stakeholders. Large businesses in the market, right? And the viewers of the television station programming, think about the viewers also, audience also, they are the customer, indirect customer. They will get impacted if there will be no subscription of the small player. They will hamper their own visibility or like viewership kind of. So these are the stakeholders. So although like primary stakeholders are easy to understand. Okay, this point is very important. What are the possible alternatives? Within this boundary, what are the possible alternatives for Sam? What are the possible alternatives for John? So this point needs more and more clarification. So let's see, like, there are some questions you have to understand, like you need to understand in order to answer the possible alternatives. What is that? Tell John that so see, okay, let's have a discussion on like, what are the alternatives Sam has in this case? I mean, Sam is now in ethical dilemma. Should he obey John or not? Isn't it? He has to follow his boss. Not necessarily. That's why this case is having a kind of bringing up the sort of dilemma which Sam has. So think yourself as in a position of Sam, and now tell me, what are the alternatives you have? I wanted to have one volunteer for that who can take what I'm discussing to the next level. Who wanted to speak? Otherwise, I will choose one volunteer. Anas, are you there? Sahit, are you there?
Yes, I am here. I am here.
Yes,
I
I
am
think
here.
you are the right person. I'm assuming that you have some sort of experiences in the past. I'm assuming that. I'm not sure I'm right or wrong, but I'm assuming that you have some sort of expertise or some sort of background. I went through your uh, individual result marketing report as well, and it was nicely written. So I'm assuming that you have some sort of experiences. So could you take us to the next level? I'm asking like, what are the options Sam has in this case? Did you hear me?
Actually, I didn't see the names. Like, wait.
Take your own time. We are there. We have a patience. We will hear from you. Bring your expertise and experiences, some key points.
Actually, I just want to ask, uh, what case study you were just talking about? Sorry about that.
This is the case study on what is the name you wanted to? Let me see the. This is the first one, justifying the price increases.
Oh,
Company is
that's the.
trying, company is trying to increase the prices for the subscription for the small SMEs, and for that he's requesting Sam as a marketing research manager to interpret the data in such a way that it looks like it's coming from the research, and because of that finding, the boss is trying to increase the price for the client, for the customer. So go ahead.
So how they just want to increase the price? I just want to tell that, or like how they should increase the prices, or
That is there in the case, my dear. John
like,
decided that the revenue and profit could be increased by 20% simply
you
by
know, actually,
charging simply
sorry,
by charging
actually, I
small
didn't read
businesses
the.
more.
Actually, I didn't read the case study, so that's why I'm sorry. You know, I'm not sure like what to say. I didn't read the case study, so that's why.
Okay, we'll back to you.
Yeah,
The
sure.
next
Yeah, sure. I
question,
just
sorry.
read the case study. Sorry for that.
Okay, so where we are, I'm looking for some, because this question is very important. What are the alternative options Sam has? That we are trying to help through this case study. What we're trying to put ourselves in that case, and we are trying to see how could we could have done it in a better way. So that's why the objective of this case is to provide the some solution to Sam in order to overcome this case from this case. Okay, we have Jara. Jara, are you here? Can you would you be able to speak? Unfortunately, she has no voice. I mean, she's not having headphones, sir. Stephen, are you here? Stephen? Okay. Amanda, can you add something?
So one possibility that I thought of is like he could go on and conduct the research, but he will prove that not only just prices has to be increased, but he'll also prove that it will decrease the loyalty of the business. So in the long term, he could clarify that this isn't good, and that's how he's going to prove it to John.
So the first option is straight away go and conduct the business, right? Conduct the marketing research. Okay. What is the second, third, and fourth? Think fast.
So the fourth one, or I mean the next one,
Second
actually.
one, yeah.
Okay, yeah, the second one, he could also try to tell John directly that this isn't within his works to do this biased research. Another one could be like he could tell the owners what action that John has taken, and yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
thought.
So, okay, 2 and 3 different options you have suggested, but think about the implication of each one. If suppose he's just communicating to the John and saying that I'm not going to do that, maybe he will fire him. And maybe it is given in the case study that it's difficult to get a new job. So, and the job market is very competitive. So that limitations you have in that. Anyway, good attempt. You see what are the different options the Sam could be having. The first one is tell John that he cannot conduct a survey that will guarantee a certain result. So as Amanda rightly pointed out, speak like straightway, just go and tell John, sorry, I'm not going to do that, and I'm ready for all the consequences. Second option for the Sam is let the small business owner know of what John is having, what sort of intention John is having. Maybe difficult. The third one is conduct a survey, go ahead with the survey and manipulate the data so that it produces the results that John wants. And that is obvious kind of, that would be a kind of first one. First alternative, that go ahead and conduct it and let your boss to be happy, because your promotion and everything will be based on his recommendation. You are somehow you are dependent on his will. The fourth option could be appeal to the owner. I think this point has also like taken out by the Amanda. Appeal to the owner of the television station, explaining the importance of developing the small business into the market. So instead of saying, just complaining to the owner, it's better to, it's a kind of make a kind of appealing presentation, interesting presentation in front of owner, and saying that why having such a small SMEs in our business portfolio, why they are important. So that could be a fourth option. And the fifth option is do nothing, just resign, because you are a man of integrity. So all these are the 5 alternatives. So in the case, you have to analyze what are the alternatives has been given. Now the next step is evaluating or the analyzing the alternatives and finding out which one is the best one. So again, for the first alternative, if you're saying he has to conduct, he has to tell that he has to, like, he's not willing to conduct, they can't conduct. So what is the strength and what is the weakness of this argument? He may lose job. That is the kind of negative side. So you have to make a balance of each and every alternative. So analyzing the alternatives, which alternative would you provide the greatest benefits for the greatest number of stakeholders? We talked about the stakeholders. So keeping that mind, which alternative out of these 5, which alternative do you think will provide the greatest benefits to the greatest number of stakeholders? Do the benefits of conducting objective, unbiased research outweigh the profit motivation of the television ownership? This question is very important. You have to balance it. Look the arguments around this one. What are the benefits of resigning if this point is again very important. Okay, if you thought like you are going to resign, but what will happen if the next marketing manager brought by the John, who will do this for John? So what is the benefit of resigning if the next marketing research manager is willing to conduct the survey that John wants? What other alternatives is right for the Sam or for the John? We have not discussed about the alternative for John, but the main protagonist over here is Sam. He's the person who is having a kind of dilemma, who has to take the decision regarding the marketing and ethics. Which alternative would you not want imposed on you if you were a small business owner? Think sometimes yourself at the feet of yourself as a business owner. Which alternative you think it's not appealing for them, or which one will be the appealing for them? Which stakeholder carry the greatest cost if the Sam resigns? If he resigns, what are the stakeholders? Which stakeholders has a greater impact? So while making the kind of alternative or evaluating the alternatives, you need to think in your mind all these questions in the context of all these 5 options, and then you will take your own decision. But before that, this point is again important. As I said, every case is surrounded by the constraint, the limitations is there. What are the constraints in this case? It says that there are limited job opportunity for Sam if he decide to resign. Don't you think this is a limitation? It's a kind of constraint for making a decision on Sam's behalf. I'm saying that he has the limitation. He can't. He recently joined after being promoted and after being a kind of reputed person in the holding a ethics and all. He recently joined. The moment he will resign, what kind of impression will come out? And what about the competitive job market? Very limited job for this at this position, or maybe very less profile as a marketing researcher in other firm. So that is the limitation he has. Considering all these things, SM has to take a decision. No marketing research is completely objective. This point is somehow trying to normalize the things. It says that no marketing research is completely objective or unbiased. Yes, that's why in the marketing research, we know that there are different types of bias. Even the sample which we are selecting is not 100% sample. See, we are not doing the marketing research with the population. We are just doing with the small sample. So who will guarantee that this sample is the right sample? Or is it a random sample, not the non-random sample, which causes more biasness? So there is a general statement that every marketing research is having a kind of biasness, having a kind of perception errors. That is there. However, efforts can be made to limit the amount of bias. That's what, as a researcher, we are doing, and other researchers, global researchers, are doing. In every research article, I'm trying to address those biasness, marketing research biasness, and I'm suggesting that I tried to minimize those biasness by following some of the certain guidelines, certain other methods. So I'm addressing, as a researcher, I'm addressing those biasness, because every research is full of biasness. So idea is to not eliminate those biasness, to reduce it. So limit the biasness, amount of biasness and error present in the result of the marketing research studies. That is the second constraint. And the third constraint is over the time, some small businesses may or may not be able to afford mass media exposure at any price. I mean to say, what kind of decision John is willing to take? Increasing 20% of price hike. What will happen? This is the constraint for the, after a certain price hike, the SMEs, small business players, they will be not in a position to pay you for the services. So that is the limitation. That is the constraint. So see, understanding a case study, keeping all the mind, these points, what are the relevant facts we understood? What are the ethical marketing issues we understood? Who are the primary stakeholders and other stakeholders we understood? What are the possible alternatives we have seen? 5 alternatives for the SAM. And what are the practical constraints we have seen for the SAM as well, and for the other stakeholders as well. And then finally, what action should be taken? What is your recommendation? That is the last one. What action should be taken? I mean, what should SAM do? Which alternatives do you think the SAM will select? Or which alternatives would you select if you were in the SAM shoes? And why? That you need to provide why. So finally, what should SAM do? You have to come up with that one. Which alternative would you select if you were in the SAM shoes? Why you would pick up that alternatives out of 5 which we have listed? Which of the alternative make the most sense in this situation? I mean, you have to provide the arguments why you are selecting that option, that alternative. Regardless of what SAM does in this situation, how can he prevent this situation from arising in his future employment? A bit more critical, whether at the television station or elsewhere. So you can build up, see, from the basics, from the small understanding, you will build up, and then your analysis will be more and more specific, more and more critical. And that's what is the purpose of having a kind of case study in the academics, in the academic teaching. You can bring some theoretical aspects also, which you have learned in the marketing in order to frame the answer. And that is the idea over here. Whatever you have learned, yes, in the marketing research topics, we have not dealt much, but yeah, to a certain extent, we dealt about the kind of biasness has to be there, is present in the marketing research process, and the ethical consideration. I said to you many times that even when I was doing my PhD research, it took 8 weeks to file the ethics application, and then once they approved, the university has approved, department has approved, then I proceed for conducting the interview first, and then again when I was going for conducting the survey for the second stage, again I submitted the second round of the ethics application, and then I got approval, and then I like that. So you can think about having a kind of integrating arguments with the theoretical perspective, theoretical things which you have learned in the marketing class. Okay, so we will move to the case study second, but before that, anything else you wanted to add? Do you think it's going to be logical for you? The kind of flow does that make sense to you for solving a case? Can anybody say something? I wanted to know, I'm going in the right direction or not. Is it appropriate effort to convince you or communicate you what is there in my mind? I'm just trying to understand, analyze, is something more I have to do, or where I'm lacking, or if something is not reaching to you, which I'm trying to explain. So just anybody can speak, anyone?
Yeah, you explained well. We understood the steps to understand the basic case study. The only thing I would like to ask is, when we are doing the case study in the exam, there isn't no particular answer that is right or wrong. So it all depends on the arguments we give.
Yes, the kind of alternatives you will suggest. First, you will suggest, okay, these are the alternatives suggestion, and then you will make that, okay, this one is the final, like recommended suggestion, and then you will frame the argument why you're saying that, something like that.
Okay, simply like that.
Nothing is
Okay.
wrong and nothing is right in the case, and that's
Okay.
the kind of advantage you have in the exam. I'm not
Yeah,
going
that's
to
what I'm also thinking of. Yeah.
exactly, just like it has to be based on some, it should not be something from outside the case. It should not be a kind of assumption. It should not be a kind of wishful thinking. It came to your mind and you're just writing. No, don't do that. It has to be from the boundary of this case, the key points, everything, all the discussion. If you are adding one argument or one alternative, related with the case. That is the purpose here.
Okay, now I understand clearer.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
yeah. Like okay, we have one more case we'll do. But see, what is case studies, which is going to be with you for long. If you are in academics, going to be in academics for a long. As a student, you wanted to grow in academics. Believe me, this skills is very very important. Okay, we can quickly go through the case number second. Sahid, are you here? We wanted to have your contribution in the case second, Sahid. Okay. The second case is incredible shrinking potato chips package. Sorry, this is the case one. This is the, I am opening the same case again. Just hang on. Okay, this is the case one. Case second. So just like the first one, I'm giving you 3 minutes to everyone. Go through this. Then we will have a discussion on this. Make a note of key points. Okay. Now we have case study discussion on case second. Incredible shrinking potato chip package. Did you notice such a phenomena or such things are happening in the market nowadays? How did you see anyone? How did you see this case? Is it a kind of something which is real life scenario or real life business case, or is it something which is like just made for the purpose of educating case study? What do you think? Or does this happen in reality?
Yeah, I think this is a very common practice with the food industry.
Yes, the confectionery, and yeah, you're right. So it's a very common practices, and it's the real life situation. I mean, real organization situation where they have to take this sort of decision, because the fluctuation in the the pricing of on the like your procurement, like your source materials, so always it's a kind of fluctuation in their prices. So based on your raw material which you are sourcing, your final finished product, the costing will be based on that. So it's a very general situation across the industry. So let's go through the case study analysis, and what I said, we have the same points here. What are the relevant facts? What are the ethical marketing issues? Who are the stakeholders? Possible alternatives? Practical constraint? And what is your recommendation or the best appropriate alternative? But before that, who are the protagonist? Who are the protagonist in this case? Again, this case clearly says that Julie, the brand manager for potato chips at regional level, she is the first uh, protagonist, and the second protagonist is Dave, the managing director for the regional salt snakes manufacturer. So we have two protagonists in this case. There could be a number of protagonists, but sometimes if there are multiple protagonists, then the concept of like who is the main protagonist. So in that case, who is the main advocate? Who is the main person who is the issues revolves around? So in the first case, who was the main protagonist? It's a Sam. In the second case, who is the main protagonist here? Julie, because she is as a brand manager, she has to take the decision regarding packaging, downsizing, not down, so kind of thing. Okay. So the first one, what are the relevant facts in this case? What are the information given to you in this case? And for that, I need volunteer. Anne, are you there? Hyun Anne. Anne, are you there? Can you, are you able to speak? Will you be able to speak on what are the facts? What are the information given in this case? Relevant information. Are you able to speak? Will you be able to speak?
Yes.
Yeah, please go ahead. Take your own time. We are waiting. Please go ahead. Anne, are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah, please start.
I'm sorry, but what's the question?
What are the relevant facts?
Okay.
The first one you see on the screen, what are the relevant facts? What are the information which is given in this case, which are relevant? Not everything, but which are relevant. We did the same thing for the case one, where Donemala she suggested some of the facts. Can you try, please?
Okay. So Julie consider a strategy to deal with the to
Julia decided to deal with the situation, right?
yes.
Okay. What else?
She wants to raise the price. Also, she can maintain the margin.
Yes. So the fact is given here, 25% increase in the raw potato price leads to the kind of increase in sourcing price. So ultimately, she wanted to have an increase in the price. Yeah, go ahead. Very good. What other informations are relevant for you, for us?
She also worry about the competition between others competitors.
Very good. Julia is worried about the competitors might maintain their price and incur a short-run loss. Yes, you're right. That is the fact given in the case. What about any facts around Dave, managing director of regional salt manufacturer? Is there any facts around Dave, Julia boss?
Although she has considered a strategy, but she couldn't afford to it.
Good. Is there any facts around past or historical data?
So historical data in this is reveal another possible competitive
Strategy. So that historical data shows that the downsizing is quite common, right? That is the fact, isn't it?
Yes.
So very well tried. Thank you so much, Ann. So you wanted to add anything else? Otherwise, should I go ahead with that one? It's all for you. Okay, so what are the relevant facts? So you see, in this case, we have more facts for consideration. So the first one is due to the 25% increase in potato price. She wanted to have a kind of price hike of 0.24. This is the fact given in the case. Julia is evaluating solely on the basis of monthly profits. That is another fact. Her performance is being evaluated on the monthly basis, monthly performance, how much output, how much revenue she is generating. So that is the fact. Historical data shows that the downsizing, holding the price constant while decreasing the net weight, is a popular strategy. That is the fact given in the case. It's not based on our assumption that we are saying that it's quite common. No, the case says that. Julia fears that rising of the price to cover the increased cost would incur the bad will of her loyal customer, who would view the price hike as unfair. That is the fact in the given. Julia is worried about the competition. That is the fact. Past history industry data indicates that buyers might not notice the package size reduction. That is the fact. Julia believes that consumers don't usually examine the net weight level on the subsequent. That is quite obvious also, but this is the fact given in the case. The last two facts are around the dev. The managing director indicated that downsizing is very common practice in this field or in this sector, especially the packaged good industry. And the last one is the downsizing marketers are above board in clearly labeling products regarding the weight, sizing, price, and quantity. So all these are the facts given in this case. Thank you, Anne. You already pointed out for 5 good points, relevant facts. So then what is next? What are the ethical or marketing issues in this case? Think about what are the ethical issues. Is it one key issue or more than one key issues? I want another volunteer for this. Rafael, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. What do you think? What are the ethical issues, marketing issues in this case?
I think that she's concerned with overcharging her customers and losing loyalty.
Explain a bit more. Keep on going. Build on it. Whatever you said, build on it. Explain it in your own words. Take your own time.
She feels that it's not fair for her to rise the price on her customers. But,
good.
Yeah, that's all I have to say.
But what about it says that the case says that also indicates that downsizing is a quite normal, it's a like natural thing in the industry. It's a quite such a phenomenon which is like adopted by many organizations in the past. So why this is the case of ethical issue? Think about that. If it is a normal trend in the industry, then why this is the ethical issue for only for her organization, not for the others? Think on those lines. Okay, so rightly pointed out by hang on.
Yeah, I don't really have much understanding on that part. So
okay, so where is the slide? Going ahead, yeah. So let's go through what are the ethical. Thank you so much. So what are the ethical issues in this case? There are a few more. The first one: are consumers deceived, or that is misled by the downsizing? That is the ethical issue or marketing issue. Means, are you cheating? Are you offering them a deceptive price, or are you trying to mislead them? This is marketing ethical issues. Second one: what is the marketer's duty to inform consumer or customer about the price and size changes? If you are communicating, fine. If not, then what? So that is a kind of dilemma. Each and every time you changes the size, is it necessary to communicate each and every time, or it's just a beginning? At the beginning, that's all. It's kind of dilemma you have. Point third: should it be a buyer's responsibility to check weight, price, quantity, and serving size, putting everything at the buyer's side? That he is responsible. He has to, before buying, he has to look at all this information, not as a firm. The fourth one: how can Julie compete it if most of or all of her competitors downsize their products? I mean to say, you might have heard the kind of strategy we have seen, that competitive pricing strategy. We have seen that, I think, in the pricing. The third option was competitive pricing, where you set your prices keeping in mind of your competitors in the industry. So if you downsize, competitors will copy immediately. They will imitate your strategy immediately. So what will happen then? So ultimately, you thought like you will gain, but everybody is gaining, means no more is a kind of competitive source of competitive advantage. Downsizing is not an appropriate strategy if the same strategy is being followed by everyone in the market. So these are the issue, marketing issues, and some of the ethical issues around this, revolving around this case. So with that note, oh, we have few more. So that's what I said, like as a marketeer, you need to think about from the different aspects. The fifth one, how can Julie achieve an acceptable balance between her need to make a profit for her company and herself, and her need to maintain the trust and fair treatment of her customers? So making a balance between what should be the appropriate size, what should be the appropriate price, so that something positive for companies, it's kind of win-win situation for organization, for the customer. You need to think all these things. That is the trade-off again. So good idea is how to balance. The sixth issue could be around what constitute fair treatment of the customer regarding the significant price hike. Fair treatment of the customer. And the last one is it proper to downsize if many others in the industry are doing it? So somehow we have seen the historical data or the past data suggests that downsizing is quite normal in the industry. So is that if somebody is doing wrong, unethical, is it right to just follow your competitor saying that since they are doing, I'm also doing it? So is that proper? Is that an ethical stand to downsize if others in the competition or other competitors are also doing the same thing? Are you blindly trying to accept, obey the same thing or same unethical activities which your competitors are doing? So these are very, very critical aspects or critical issues in this case. Issues revolving around this case. And then as a marketeer, think about your job. Okay, just like the previous one, who are the primary stakeholders? I could say Julie and Dave. They are the internal stakeholders, but what else? Do you think more people are involved in this case? Internally or externally? Who has the direct or indirect effect of the business activities of this firm? Who are the primary stakeholders? It could be a list of many actors, many participants. Do you think the customers are the stakeholders? Yes. Those who are buying the potato chip, confectionery market, all the consumers in this packaged product industries, they are the stakeholders. Owners are the stakeholders. Who else? The suppliers. Because here, see, the starting paragraph starts from like it started saying that because of the drought, the production has gone down. The supplier is asking for more and more prices. So suppliers is a stakeholder. Yes. So we have a list of who are the primary stakeholders: Julie, Dave, all the Julie customers, stakeholders in the company. Stockholders, I mean the shareholders, owners of the company, yes. Even the competitors, because there are like lots of discussion about the competition. Competitors are also doing so. The competitors are the stakeholders, not direct, but indirect. So what are the Julie's responsibility to the various stakeholders? I mean, she is morally bound. She is has the moral responsibility to satisfy all these customers, or all these stakeholders. See, stakeholders and, you know, agent or kind of manager. Manager always has the responsibility to satisfy the needs or what stakeholder wants. That is the role and responsibility of the manager, to have a kind of make a balance of the benefits, or make a balance of the needs of all his stakeholders or her stakeholders. With that note, what are the possible alternatives over here? We wanted to have some volunteer here. What are the possible alternatives? Remember, in the last case, in the case of Sam, we have seen he has 5 alternatives, starting with denying, with the resign. So we have seen the 5 alternatives. What do you think in this case, in this particular case, what do you think are the different possible alternatives? Alternatives for the Julia, or can think about alternatives for the Dave? Both are the protagonists in this case. So think about what are the options, what are the actions, what are the actions, or what are the kind of steps, what are the options are available for this, for Julie in terms of decision making, right? So I want a few more volunteer here. Let's see who is going to speak. Fana, are you here? Oduman Fana, are you here? Can you hear me? I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. Fana, are you here? Oduman Fana. Gordon? Okay, I'm sure Abel will be here. Abel? Enoch? Enoch Abel,
sir.
are you here?
Yeah.
Yeah, please go ahead. I know you are the right person to provide some arguments in terms of what are the different alternatives Julia has. Go ahead, take your own time and explain it in your own way. What are the possible alternatives?
I don't think I have an idea, sir.
Could you repeat? What is that?
I don't think I have an idea, sir. I'm sorry.
No, did you understand the case?
No, I didn't understand the case properly. That's why.
What you understood from this case? Can you explain that first? I will help you to extend it. What you understood?
So the case, so the case itself is the it's an approach into like looking into like price increases and I justify the price increases.
Very good. Yeah, go ahead.
So like some people might do unethical stuff to increase prices or something. And those prices, when they have been increased unethically, it will have problems to the stakeholders.
Good, very good.
Yeah, and so this case studies is supposed to find out how people like got to get where they are, and if they use the alternative means that are not appropriate channels to get what they got, and you're supposed to prove it by evaluating and analyzing the steps that they took to increase prices.
Wow, very good, well done. So what and like Enoch said just now is like there is like the taking a decision regarding either they can have a kind of price hike, or otherwise the alternative option as a reducing the size of the box. So two options are like, if you could see that there could be like various alternatives, but the very basic alternatives what Julia has is either she can go ahead with the price hike because she wanted to have a kind of 5% margin of profit and all, and otherwise instead of having a price hike, she can think about reducing the size of the content of the box. So that these two are the like quite obvious alternative in this case. So let's have like what we have, like what I have on my slide. So what are the possible alternatives in this case? Thank you, Enoch, once again. You did a good job. Thank you. So
Thanks, sir.
you see here we have 5 different alternatives. So the first one is raising the prices to cover the increased cost. What Enoch has already covered this point. So that is the first alternative for the Julia. She is the main protagonist in this case. So she has to take decision regarding she wanted to go ahead with the price hike or not. Second option could be downsize the product so that to maintain the margin. Although not much gain, but at least to have a proper margin, the maintaining that margin profit level, just downside the package size, because the case says that it's a quite natural in the doing it is quite obvious in the industry. So that is the second option. The third alternative could be maintain the price and incur a short run loss. That could be. That could be if you are having a good resources in terms of good finance, good like if financial situation is in a strong financial situation, you can think about a short-term loss. What's wrong in that? The moment the next season will come, the price more and more production will happen, will be going on, then the price will be automatically be balanced, and your supplier will give you the price not in the increased rate, it will be in the normal rate, then everything will be normal. So maintaining the price, the current price, and incur a short-term loss could be a third alternative. So see, these alternatives you have to weigh it. You need to think logically, and then argue around these two, all these alternatives. That what is the strength of the first if you are thinking about raising the price to cover the increased cost, what is the strength, what is the positive side, and what is the negative side? For the second, what is the positive and what is the negative? What is the fourth alternative? Could be accept an smaller than 5% margin by either raising the price slightly and downsizing the product slightly. So this is a kind of balancing stuff, like to what parameters price increase by this much, leveling or the downsizing is by this much, setting the kind of balance so that it will be a win-win situation for firm and customer as well. And the fifth option alternative could be suggest flagging the package with the reduce with the some similar wording for 6 months following this one. This point is very important. This point is very important. Let the customer know that you have reduced the size. So you're flagging something on the, in the labeling, it's a reduce, something like, so that customer can understand, okay, with the same price, what they are getting is not the real amount which they were getting before, it's a reduced amount. This could be a kind of very ethical communication. Does that make sense? Does this all these alternative make sense to you?
Yeah, they all make sense.
Okay, so once you understood the alternatives, what next? What are the practical constraints? Sometimes it's important to understand the constraint, because sometimes if you do the alternative analysis, positive and negative, if you forget the constraint about the practical constraint, maybe your answer will be not just properly justified. So the constraint has to be there. You need to keep the constraint limitations. So what are the limitations in this case? Julia needs to consider the ramification on her career if she decided not to downsize. She has to maintain the profit. She has to show that profit to the owner. Otherwise, she get fired. She might get fired for that, not maintaining the profit level, maintaining the profit level. The second one, Julia might not be able or willing to look for another job at this point of time in her career. That could be a kind of constraint. Just like in the first case, also in the same, we have seen that he might have not interested in jumping to another one. The third constraint could be there might be state laws which prohibit downsizing, although she is thinking to go ahead with the downsizing, but can be it varies from state to state or maybe the country level. So that might be a kind of provision which says that no, you should not do this unethical activities, marketing activities. And the fourth constraint could be what would happen if Julia took a given course of action and the competitors didn't. I mean, we discussed this one also, like you took this one option, but your competitor is not. So what will happen in that case? So these are some constraints. And finally, what action should be taken? What is your recommendation? Which one is the best choice, best alternatives? And what is your, final decision? So what is your recommendation? So going back here, Sahid, are you here? Anas Sahid. Sahid, are you here? Okay, I need your assistance here. Could you tell me what will be your decision if you will be in the position of Julia? Julia, I'm sorry. What will be your stand? Which alternative you will suggest? And what is your argument behind that? If suppose that is the question in the exam. As a manager, what will be your recommendation? What will be your best alternative? And you need to provide the argument for that. Suppose that is the question in the exam. What will be your answer there? Yes, Sahid, I'm talking to you. Please go ahead. We are waiting. Just try. Before that, we have seen that we were able to hear from you. Just try. Just throw like 1 or 2 key points.
Yes, sir. Actually, I have a problem in my mobile, so the voice chat was not like, it was muted, so that's why.
That's okay. Please go ahead. Now we all are able to hear you. Please go ahead. Take your own.
Okay, yeah. I just wait. Can I just see the case study? So, yep, thank you. What actions should be taken?
Yes. What is the final decision? You keep yourself in the shoes of Julia. Like think yourself in the position of brand manager. What will be your suggestion? What will be your decision? Final decision. We have seen that. Okay. These are the options.
Cover the increased cost. My decision would be like raise the prices to cover the increased cost. Yeah, like this should like raise the prices So yeah.
Okay, so that is the constraint we have. What will happen if you raise the prices and competitors not? Then what will happen? You will lose your customer.
Yeah, but
Go ahead, build on that. Keep arguing.
maintain the price. But if we will lose the customers, but we can.
You can jump to the another alternative. It's fine.
So that's more. Maintain the price. Yeah, we can like now if we maintain the price, so there's a short-run loss for company, so we can't do that.
Did you suggest option number 3?
No, I will not suggest option number
because
3.
she will get fired because she's unable to generate the profit for the company. So
yeah, I will not like suggest number 3.
Next.
So I will suggest like number 2.
Downsize the okay. Tell me the argument behind why.
Yeah, downsize the product so as to maintain margins. Because I don't have argument.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Anyway, good. Thanks for participation. We have more participants. Let me see. Like, who else is there? Okay. Stephen. Okay. Who else is there? Ethan Liu. Are you here, Ethan Liu? Ethan Liu. Are you here? Or Jingtao Wang. Are you here? Or Quan Fai Chan. Yeah, anybody. Yeah, Wang. Please
Yes,
go ahead. Wang, I just wanted to know what will be your answer from these all these 5. Provide the argument and the answer.
Think it's like the third one.
Explain it, yeah.
Yeah, and it means I'm not really know about this one.
Which option you suggested?
Third one.
Maintain the price and incur a short-term loss.
Yep.
So the basic assumption is your financial health is good, right? I mean, so the company financial health is good. So short-term loss can be justified.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else wanted to add or wanted to pick up? Now the floor is open for everyone. Anybody can pick up, can speak like which option and can justify. It's open for everyone. Please go ahead. Sahanju, are you here? Sahanju. Anybody can speak now. It's okay. Anyone?
Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead. It's open for everyone.
If given the constraints of having a drought, so we could go with the number 3, which is maintain the price and incur a short-run loss, because for sure the potato industry will grow back again if there is a given possibility of in the foreseen future that it will grow again. So we can do number 3. And what I also thought was number 4, just to give a little percentage on raising the price and downsizing the product slightly, because that way both sides, the company won't lose much and also the customers won't lose much. So it's almost like number 4 is like a win-win situation between both sides. And who's the protagonist? Julie won't be so worried to lose the trust of her customers, since it's just a very small percentage, and she won't really lose this position in her company because it's just a very small percentage that they're slightly raising in a way. Yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yes, thank you so much, Amanda. Once again, I think you have given a proper argument, and you have shown also the way how to write frame the answer in the questions. And it seems like you are quite optimistic. You have accepted the point number 3 and option number 3 and 4. So it seems like you are quite optimistic and you believe in win-win situation. It's a kind of positive sum game, not the negative sum game. So we have this concept in the management: positive sum game and negative sum game. So you believe more in the positive sum game, where all the parties has to be kind of win-win situation. So I like that idea, both the ideas. So with that note, I think where is the slide? So what we have, practical constraint. So what action should Julia take? We had a discussion, which alternative make the most sense to you as they relate to this situation. That's all. I think go back to the case study. Yes, case study methodology. I tried to give you the inputs, understanding at the beginning, and then we had a very good discussion around the case 1 and case 2. I'm really appreciate I'm really saying thanks to all who have participated today in this case study discussion. Without your cooperation, it could have been very tough for me to just being a kind of one-way communicator. The case study is something we need a kind of participation. Otherwise, I will lose the interest in speaking, and probably more and more critical thinking points, more and more arguments will not come out even from me. So I think you guys has done, all of you, those who have participated have done a very good job, and I must say thank you to all. Anything else? If you have anything else to ask, otherwise the time is already over to 4. So
so I have a question.
Yeah, please ask.
When we will get our marks for the